everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to crochet the rope cable Afghan square. Now you can see my sample one here in front of you. This is week 3 of the Crazy for Cables Crochet Along, and welcome if you're joining me for that. If it's your first time hearing about the Crazy for Cables Crochet Along, you'll find a link down in the description of this video, not only for the free written instructions, which are on richtexturescrochet.com, but there'll be information for you there about this crochet along as well. This is week 3 of 6. So our blanket square today is worked, creating these beautiful rope style cables that run along this square. You're going to need to make about 4 of these squares. Each square measures approximately 10.5 inches by 10.5 inches, and again you'll need 4 of them for the blanket. Today for the tutorial I am using a worsted weight, medium weight acrylic yarn. This is the Pound of Love by Lion brand, and if you're making the entire blanket you're going to need about 4,600 yards of yarn. I'm also going to be using a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook, and again the free instructions for this square are on richtexturescrochet.com, linked in the description. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe, take a look around. This channel is updated every single week. Also on this channel you'll find a playlist entitled the Crazy for Cables Blanket playlist, and all of the squares for this crochet along are going to be added to that, so be sure to check it out. Let's grab our hooks and yarn and get started. Now our square today is worked in rows. We're going to start by making a slip knot and then by working a foundation chain. Our foundation chain today is going to be a total of 47 chains. If you would like to change the size of your square, you'll need a multiple of 6 plus 1 stitches. Today I'm going to chain 47. There's 40 and 47. Once you have 47 chains worked, you're going to begin row 1 by working a single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Your chain 1 in this pattern does not count as a stitch here or throughout. So single crochet into that second chain from your hook, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. At the end of this row, and again all throughout your square, you will have a total of 46 stitches. At the end of row 1, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. For row 2, and for every even row, so rows 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so on, you're going to work a single crochet into the first stitch. Remember that the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. You'll continue to have, once again, 46 stitches. At the end of row 2, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 3, we're going to start working some of our cable design, our rope cables. And just a couple things to note, when we are working our cable stitches, it's like you're going to look at the stitch in the previous row and your stitch from row 1 as a single unit, we'll call it, okay? So your stitch above and your stitch below. That means if you work a single crochet in your previous row, it's as though you're working in the stitch below it as well. If you work a post stitch in the stitch of row 1, It's like you're working in the stitch as well of row 2, which means you're going to skip that stitch. Skip the stitch directly behind the post and work in the next stitch when you work your single crochet. You'll see as we go along. So we're going to start row 3 by working a single crochet into that first stitch, followed by a front post double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, but working 2 rows below. So these are our next 2 stitches, but we're working around the posts of the stitch 2 rows below. So directly below the next 2 stitches. So you're going to yarn over, bring your hook in front of your work and insert your hook around the post of that next stitch 2 rows below. So the stitch of row 1. Yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 more. That's your front post double crochet. You're going to do the same thing around the post of the next stitch 2 rows below, so right next to it. Now because you've worked 2 front post double crochets, it's as though you've worked in those next 2 stitches of that previous row, so you're never going to work in those 2 stitches. Okay, the stitches directly behind your post stitches. You're going to single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So skip the stitches in behind the post stitches and work a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. We're now coming to the start of the repeat in the pattern. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, but 2 rows below. Okay, so skip the next 2 stitches, but 2 rows below. And you're going to work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 stitches. Okay, so I'll do that once more. So skip the next 2 stitches, 2 rows below, and front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 stitches, 2 rows below. So there's 1 and 2. If you want to do some counting here on row 1, you have your post stitches, and then you're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in total, and then you'll have your 2 post stitches running diagonally. Now working in front of these last 2 stitches just made, you're going to work a front post double crochet around each of the previous skipped 2 skipped stitches. So yarn over, bring your hook back to the first skipped stitch 2 rows below, insert your hook around the post of that stitch, and work your double crochet. You're then going to do that for the next skipped stitch. Yarn over, bring your hook in front and back, insert it around the post of that second skip stitch, and complete your front post double crochet. So you'll now have 4 front post double crochets crossed over one another. You're then going to single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So we've worked 4 front post stitches. We're going to skip the next 4 stitches up top and behind them and work a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. We're now going to repeat that. Skip the next 2 stitches, but 2 rows below, and work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 stitches 2 rows below. Now working in front of your work, work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the 2 previous skipped stitches. So front post double crochet around the first skip stitch and front post double crochet around the post of the second skipped stitch. You're going to work a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. You're going to continue to repeat this until all the way across, until 5 stitches remain. Once you come all the way across at the end of your row 3, you're actually going to have 4 stitches remaining after you work your 2 single crochet stitches. You're going to work a single crochet into the next stitch. You'll have 3 stitches remaining. You're then going to work a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch 2 rows below. Work another front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch 2 rows below, and finish off with a single crochet into the top of your final stitch. You can then chain 1, turn your work, and then single crochet into that first stitch and in each stitch all the way across for your row 4. At the end of your row 4, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. From now on, the cable stitches are a little bit easier because as you're working your cable stitches, you are always working into the post stitches 2 rows below. So they're a little bit easier to see. There's a little less counting. For row 5, we're going to begin with a single crochet into the first stitch, followed by a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 stitches, 2 front post stitches, 2 rows below. Next, you're going to single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Next, work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 4 front post stitches 2 rows below. When you are working these front post stitches, you're going to want to make sure that they're in order and that they don't get twisted at all. So you're going to work front post stitch around the first one, the second one, which tends to get kind of tucked in back, so you may want to hook it and bring it forward. There's 2, then 3, and 4. You're then going to work a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. You're now going to repeat this all the way across. Front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 4 stitches. Single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and repeat all the way across until you have 4 stitches remaining. I am almost all the way across. You're going to finish off with a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. You'll have 4 stitches remaining. You're going to work 1 more single crochet, then a front post double crochet around each of the next 2 front post stitches, and a single crochet into your final stitch. Chain 1, turn your work, And now for row 6, work a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. At the end of row 6, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 7, you're going to single crochet into your first stitch and work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 front post stitches 2 rows below. Single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Next, you're going to skip the next 2 front post stitches 2 rows below and work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 front post stitches 2 rows below. Now working in front of your work, you're going to work a front post double crochet around the post of each of the first 2 skipped front post stitches. So starting with this first one and then the second one. Now single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. We're going to repeat this all the way across. Skip the next 2 front post stitches and work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the next 2 stitches. Now working in front of your work, you're going to work a front post double crochet around the posts of each of the first 2 skipped front post stitches. And single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Repeat this all the way across until 4 stitches remain. Once you come all the way across at the end of row 7 and have 4 stitches remaining, you're going to single crochet into that next stitch, work a front post double crochet around each of the next 2 front post stitches 2 rows below, and then single crochet into your final stitch, chain 1 and turn. For row 8, you're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way across. Now that brings us to the end of the repeat in this pattern. For rows 9 through to 52, you're simply going to repeat your rows 5, 6, 7, and 8. Once your work is 52 rows, or it is square, so if you have to work a few more rows you can, or less you can as well. You'll want your blanket square to be square. And once you've worked the 52 rows, you can meet me back here and we're going to work a simple edging around our square. Once you have worked through to row 52 of your Cables Blanket Square, you're then ready to add a simple edging to the edges of your square. It's going to make joining these squares a lot easier. So what you're going to do, if you haven't already, is take your yarn and you're going to join it into the top corner, just into the first stitch. Then into that top corner, you're going to work 2 single crochet stitches. This will count as your corner stitch, and then the first stitch along the top. You're then going to work a single crochet into each stitch all the way across the top of your square. When you come all the way across, you're going to work one single crochet into the corner and turn your work so you are working along the rough edge. You're then going to work 46 single crochet stitches evenly all the way along this rough edge. So starting in that first corner, work 46 single crochet evenly all the way across. If it helps, you can place a stitch marker about halfway and work half on one side, half on the other. Whatever you find helps. I'm just inserting my hook as it feels comfortable working along this rough edge. Once you've worked 46 single crochet all the way along that rough edge, you're going to work a single crochet into the corner stitch. And then you're going to turn your work, so you're working along the bottom of your square now. You're going to work one single crochet into each stitch along the bottom of your square. Then just as you did before, work a single crochet into the corner and 46 single crochet along your opposite rough edge, all the way until you come to your first stitch, where you will join with the slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. Once you've come all the way around back to your first stitch, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. You can then go ahead and fasten off your square. You can weave in any ends. If you are working this for the Crazy for Cables Crochet Along, you will want to work a total of 4 of these squares. Work the edging on them, then set them aside until we are ready to join them together in week 6. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to subscribe, take a look around, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, happy crocheting. Bye.